What up, fam? Welcome to another installment of TSC Unleashed. What's going on to the family members in the building? Big ups to the fam. Big ups to the family. Thank y'all for joining us on this Tuesday edition of TSC Unleashed. Big ups to you. Good to see you in the chat. Brother Jerry, I see you, family. Big ups to you. Elite Goods, what up, fam? Brian Pearson, big up to you, Brian. Good to see you in the chat as well. And Crass, my dog Crass is in the stream as well. Big ups to you, fam. Thank y'all for joining us on this installment of TSC Unleashed. We doing it big Tuesday. Of course, we didn't have a show Monday, family, and that was due to the fact that, man, we had a lot of work to do, and I had to take the time to do it. Of course, we've been saying we're getting ready to roll out a new format or a slight change to our regular format, and to kind of switch things up a little bit different. We've been working on that, plus several other projects right now that are big projects that we was moving along real incremental wise, so we needed the extra time to kind of complete that. So big ups to the family members, GM Kev and the rest of the family. Thank y'all for joining us. Uncle Mozzie, how you doing today, fam? Uncle Mozzie, you with us?
Yeah, I'm good. I couldn't be better. I thought we were playing like a musical chair to the mute button just then. So like that's what it was. You sat down first, and I sat down, then I pushed you, then I cheated. So that's what it was.
All right, Uncle Maz is in the building. Big ups to the rest of the family. I'm Big Q chiming on this one. And what we're going to do on this version of TSC Unleashed, we're going to cover of the NFL this past weekend, week number 4. We're going to recap that. Also, we're going to preview the a game 4 matchup going on tonight with the Heat and the Lakers. Big game 4 going on tonight. Will the Heat be able to get this thing even and make it a series again? We'll see. We'll talk about that. And of course, coach is getting fired. Who's next to get the axe? We know about O'Brien out in Houston. We'll cover the rest of this as well. So buckle up your seatbelts, family. Here we get ready to get going on this installment of the TSC Unleashed. Here we go. All right, now first up. First of all, here we go with the Cincinnati Bengals. Of course, Joey B, man, getting his first win of the year, 33-25. That's right, 33-25. Joey Burrow gets it done up against the Jaguars, and he was 25 of 36. Man, a lot of attempts by Joey B. He's just throwing the ball. 25 of 36, had 300 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He was sacked once in the game, 92.4 rating. Joe Mixon got it going and carried the team, and that's how you're supposed to do it, Cincinnati. You got to use your running attack to balance it. Joe Mixon, 25 carries, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tyler Boyd, he was the top guy that Joey B threw to 7 times out of 8 targets for 90 yards in the game. T. Higgins getting going, 4 catches for 77 yards as well. Drew Sample had 3 for 47, 6 catches from Mixon for 30 yards and a score, and he was also 3 touchdowns responsible for. Mixon got the big money. He got to carry it through. 33-25, the Jaguars fall down to Cincinnati. Joey B gets his first win. All right, we're gonna go 3 of them, and then 5 you can just jump in there. Browns 49-38 win over the Dallas Cowgirls, and it continues to, when it rains, it pours. If you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, because I'm actually loving it, by the way. I love it when the Cowgirls stink. But Mike Nolan's defense, man, they call it for his head, man. Where's the patience? All right, and this one, it had the Browns 19 of 30 from Mayfield, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns in an effort. But really, it was the running game that really helped out. They had 40 carries for 307 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. They did all that without Chubb. D'Ernest Johnson, the 3rd string back, had 13 carries for 95 yards. Odell Beckham got in there. He had 2 carries for 73 yards and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt, 11 for 71 for 2 scores as well. Nick Chubb even played a little bit, 6 carries for 43 in the matchup. They hit him with a combined effort of 40 carries for 307 yards and 3 touchdowns. They just wore him out. Of course, Dak Prescott finished 41-58. He throwing the ball, give him credit. 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. You threw for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. You're usually supposed to win games like that. 49-38, the Cowgirls go down in blazes, and they are now 1-3 on the season, and they're calling for heads out there as well. Now going to the next matchup, the Seattle matchup, Seahawks 31-23 over the Dolphins. The Dolphins said they're going to stick with Fitzpatrick into week number 5, which is stupid. That's why the Dolphins are a bunch of losers. But the reality is Russell Wilson set it off 24 of 34 for 360, 2 touchdowns. He had a pick, but nonetheless, he did what he was supposed to do. Chris Carson got on game, 16 carries for 80 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. DK Metcalf, 4 catches, 106. David Moore, 3 catches, 95 in his score. So the Seattle Seahawks, they improved to 4-0 over the Dolphins, and I don't understand why they won't play Tua. Your team is now 1-3. You're going to stick with Fitzpatrick. If Tua's healthy, let him play. But that's why the Dolphins are stupid. But anyway, let's go back to it now. We running 3 in a row. Mozzie, you can feel free to jump in there and comment on any one of those if you feel it.
Well, first off, I definitely want to comment on Joey Burrow. You know, Joey B's my guy. Shouts out to him. And I know he passed a remarkable amount of times last game, but to be honest, that's really an improvement over what the average has been over the first 3 weeks. What was he averaging? Like 45 passes a game? It was something crazy, but again, they still failed to protect him. Mixon is a really valuable piece. I think we got to do something at receiver, something at tight end, and definitely that offensive line. I believe if they just use Mixon in the running game as they needed to and beefed up that offensive line to suit, I don't think that they would have a really big issue going on there.
Yeah, and that's what it comes. And you know what? Cincinnati is built similarly to what Cleveland is. And these teams are trying to throw the ball. And the answer is not in throwing the ball. Now, you have Joey Burrow. He's still a rookie nonetheless. But you paid Mixon all that money. You paid Kareem Hunt if you're the Cleveland Browns. You got to use the running attack. And they're learning that now. It took them losing because they're trying to throw the ball all over the place. But they have to learn the lesson. And that's what a lot of these young coaches do. And some of these older coaches don't understand that the running game is the foundation of a good offense, not just throwing the damn thing around the field. You know, you got to have a running attack, and they're discovering that. Cincinnati discovered it. Cleveland discovered it when they lost that first matchup, and they've reeled off a bunch of wins. It's all based and predicated on the running attack. All right, Fob, let's jump into the next 3 stretch of games. Of course, we know about our Saints. Our Saints got the best of the Detroit Lions despite being down by, 2 touchdowns early on, 2 flash scores. Saints came back. They win 35-29 over Detroit to get back to 500. Drew Brees, 19 of 25, 246, 2 touchdowns. 1 interception, in my opinion, it wasn't his fault. That was a pop-up from the defensive lineman, popped the ball in there. The defensive cornerback was able to pick it off. Kamara, 19 carries for 83 yards, averaged 4.4 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Latavius Murray, 14 carries, 64 yards, 4.6 yards on the rush, 2 rushing touchdowns for him in the game. Deontay Harris got in there. He had 2 for 10. Taysom got in there. He had 3 for 6. He averaged 2 yards per carry. Michael Burton had a run for 4 yards, and Drew Brees, of course, he didn't do nothing. He had 3 carries minus 3. But anyway, 42 carries altogether. The Saints had 164 yards total as a team. They averaged 4 yards per rush and had 3 touchdowns off the back of the running game. Drew threw 2 touchdowns. The rushing game had 3. 35 points put up by the Saints. Defense need to get it together, but it's showing improvement. Emmanuel Sanders, 6 times he caught the ball off of 9 targets. We see him and Drew getting together. Traquan Smith, 4 targets, 4 catches, 54 yards, 2 scores. To all my Traquan detractors, how you like him now? Mozzie, thought process on Detroit and the Saints.
Well, I definitely think that the Saints improved this week. This was probably their best game that they played so far this week, or so far this year. The most complete game, I would definitely say, because they had to face adversity. So I understand that a lot of people kind of on their backs about the way they came out kind of flat and the way they finished kind of flat. But hey, what was in between was pretty good. So like we can build on that. I think we expounded on that, previously. The fact that it's going to take a minute for these teams to kind of congeal and come together, simply due to the fact there was just not enough involvement early on with OTAs and training camps and just those things. They didn't exist. So I think that it was a good game. I think that we need to extract more of the positive stuff than the negative stuff, because what we saw in between the flat start and the kind of the rocky finish was real good stuff. That was championship football. But We got to correct those things that happen on the outside in order for us to progressively win, right the ship, finish and win this division and traverse into the playoffs. But right now, man, Seattle's playing lights out football, and they are.
Yeah, Seattle's looking good right now. You're absolutely right, man. We'll see what it looks like, man, because they're playing balanced, man, to be honest with you. They're playing really balanced football. And the reality at the end of the day is, man, listen, it's one of those situations where you start slow. And remember, my saying is, I'd rather start slow, start slow and they're firing out the gate, but hopefully they don't burn out moving further into the season. So, I mean, we'll just have to monitor that and keep an idea of what's going on. So we'll keep that up. We'll keep going and we'll watch a hold of that. Uncle Mazi. Okay, hold on here. We got Uncle Mazi back here. All right. Okay, Mazi's back in the building anyway. All right, let's keep it going. Next matchup, we got Tampa Bay against the Los Angeles Chargers. That's the next team that we face off against Tampa Bay. 38-31 over the Chargers. Tom Brady. He was 30 of 46. That's right, man. Old man Tom Brady, 43 years old. He was 30 of 46, 369 yards. He had 5 passing touchdowns in the matchup against the Chargers defense. 1 interception. He wasn't sacked at all. They protected him. He had an 85.2 QBR. They even ran a ball with Ronald Jones, the second. He had 20 carries for 111 yards. He averaged 5.6 yards per carry. And that shows me if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was able to put up 27 carries for 115 yards, that's 4.3 yards per carry, by the way, that the Saints can follow the same situation to be able to mimic what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did to the Chargers. We'll face them on upcoming Monday night. But anyway, Tampa Bay balanced their attack. They put up this was a back and forth, highly exciting game. Mike Evans, 7 catches, 122. He had a touchdown in the matchup. Then they were on fire. Mike Evans, 7 of 8 targets he caught from Tom Brady. Scotty Miller, 5 catches for 83 yards off of 7 catches. Targets. O.J. Howard, 3 for 50 with a score as well. And Tom Brady's team, 38-31. Justin Herbert, the young guy, 20 of 25, 290, almost 12 yards every time he threw the ball. He had 3 touchdowns in the matchup. He was basically doing it by himself. I think that had the Chargers were able to run the ball, they did lose Austin Eckler. He's done for about 4 to 6 weeks, called the report that we have. And then nobody else really stepped up. Joshua Kelly didn't do anything. Justin Jackson didn't do anything. And they only were half a team. They lose 38-31 in that matchup. Looking at the next matchup, looking at the Ravens and the Redskins, 31-17, Lamar Jackson, after the loss to KC, comes back and literally takes apart the Washington football team, the Washington Whataburgers. 14 of 21 for Lamar Jackson, had 2 touchdowns, 1 interception in the game. He was even the top rusher, 7 carries for 53 yards, averaged 7.6 yards per rush. Mark Ingram, not too much in that game, although he had a touchdown, 8 carries for 34 yards. For 1 touchdown. They didn't give him the ball enough, in my opinion. Marquez Brown, 4 catches, 86 yards in the matchup to help them beat him. Dwayne Haskins continues to stink. 32 of 44, no touchdowns, no interceptions, no impact. Antonio Gibson, the running back, 13 carries, 46 yards, had a score. Terry McLaurin continues to be a surprise in the NFL, 10 catches, 118 on 14 targets. So big up. McLaurin is their top threat. He's really turned into a good wide receiver for him. So Uncle Mazi, what are your thought process on those games? Tom Brady, the Ravens against the Washington Whataburgers, before we go into our next trio of games.
Well, Brady, as usual, did his magic thing, and this is why he is who he is. Definite first-time Hall of Famer, first-time ballot. He's done this dance 30 times, and you understand why now. Because he plays to win. There's not many quarterbacks, especially at that age or the new team under the duress. Anytime they're locked in and we're down by 15, 16 points, and he mounted a comeback in true Tom Brady fashion, and it was almost like the light just switched on. Now, what we gotta pray and hope for is the light didn't permanently switch on, and somebody headed out to take the meat out the box, because we damn sure don't want to run up against that Tampa Bay team with the defense that we've been playing over the last 3 weeks. Something to be a little concerned with, but hopefully the offense the Saints found can kind of trump the defense as it has for the last decade plus here in black and gold land. As far as the Ravens, I mean, it was a great shakeback game for them. We understand what it is. The Ravens at this point are the second best team in the NFL next to the Kansas City Chiefs. For whatever reason, they just got the number for them. And I mean, until they kind of figure that out, then it's going to be an issue. But that is strictly a coaching situation or scheming issue, because they're matched so well as far as talent across the board that Kansas City has a little bit more speed, but I think that the Ravens just have a little bit better skill position players, and they got a little bit better defense. But with that being said, the Ravens are just the second best team strictly due to scheme by default. So Andy Reid at this point coaching everybody in Baltimore. So they're going to have to figure that part of it out. And if they can scheme past Kansas City, then I think this is the 1 and 2 team, really, however you want to put it in that order, in the NFL, with Seattle following a close third. So Tampa Bay, again, hats off to them what they've been able to do, but that's going to stop when they play us this week. We reclaim our division this week. And also, you know, Baltimore's got to figure out what they need to do to get around Kansas City. Otherwise, it'll be a repeat of last year. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think Baltimore, man, they got it on their chest. They got to, you know, there is no football heaven for you unless you can make it through Patrick Mahomes boys and the Chiefs. And that's Lamar Jackson's thing. He'll be constantly, you know, his greatness is based on the Baltimore Ravens beating the Chiefs, no doubt about it. Let's move into our next trio of games. Carolina Panthers able to take care of business against the Arizona Cardinals, which was a big win, by the way. Arizona was playing well. Kyler Murray struggled a bit. Well, actually, you know, he was responsible for 3 touchdowns, but this kid is doing it all, man. I just hope that they help him out a little bit more. They're 3-2 now. But, you know, let's look at Teddy Bridgewater and his team. 26 of 37, 2 touchdowns, one pick. Teddy was 93.6 on the QB rate. Mike Davis, 16 carries for 84 yards in the score. He's doing a great job. Mike Davis is big ups to him. Is keeping that running attack going while Christian McCaffrey is down. And they're winning games without their top player. Robbie Anderson, 8 catches for 99 yards. Curtis Samuel had 3 for 51. DJ Moore had 4 for 49. As they win 31-21, Kyler Murray doing it all for this team, man. 24 out of 31. Although he had 133 yards, he was responsible for 3 passing touchdowns. He was sacked once. His QBR rating was almost 70%, but he was also their top rusher. He ran 6 times for 78 yards. He averaged 13 yards per rush. His top guy, of course, was DeAndre Hopkins, 7 catches for 41 yards off of 9 targets. And Dan Arnold, if you can imagine that, 4 catches for 39 yards off of 4 targets. And then Chase Edmonds was the other guy. But man, Larry Fitzgerald is a million years old. He's not really doing anything. 2 catches for 4 yards and on 3 targets. And, you know, it comes a time when you're like, you know, how good is this guy? I don't know. But Arizona loses by 10 to Carolina. That was a big win for Carolina, by the way, because I thought they would lose that game. Minnesota, moving on to them. They finally get the first win of the season against a very terrible Houston team. That loss cost their head coach's job. I mean, it had to. I mean, you come in against a winless team who's been struggling, and you can't get the win. Well, you're out of here. Kirk Cousins, 16 of 22 for 260, 1 touchdown, sacked 3 times in the game. QBR rating of 68.4. The real smoke was Delvin Cook, 26 carries, 130 yards, averaged just under 5 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns rushing. Adam Thielen got online, 8 catches, 114, 1 touchdown off of 10 targets. Thielen was feeling it. Justin Jefferson, our guy, 4 catches, 103 yards off of 5 targets. The man averaged 26 yards per catch in this game against Houston. Deshaun Watson, the big time man, he had 20 of 33 for 300 yards, averaged 9 yards a throw, 2 touchdowns. He was wrestled down 3 times, sacked 3 times in the game. David Johnson, 6 carries, 63 yards. He is not doing what they thought he was going to do in this game. You could have very well just kept Duke Johnson or Carlos Hyde for all that magic. But their top man was Will Fuller, 6 catches, 108, 1 touchdown off of 7 targets. But once again, Houston goes down. O'Brien is no longer with the team. Romeo Cornell takes over duties as the new coach coming into next game. And of course, the Rams, 17-9 over the Giants, who are winless. They stink. Jared Goff got back on point. 3-1 are the Rams. How about that? 3-1 are the Rams. right now. And they're winning these games 25 of 32, 200 yards, 1 touchdown for Jared Goff. Malcolm Brown, 9 carries for 37 yards, 8 rushes for 22 yards for Darrell Henderson. Cooper Kupp, 5 catches, 69 yards, 1 score. Robert Woods, 6 catches, 35 yards for them. But the Rams are 3-1, man. They topple the winless Giants. Uncle Mazi, out of all those games, the triad of that we covered, which speak on those, if you will.
Well, I want to say, I think you were inaccurate. Did I hear you say that Bill O'Brien got fired because he didn't get the win? Is that what you said?
He's fired because he didn't get the win. They haven't won all year, and he's stupid. He traded Hopkins away, and he's a dummy, and that's why he got fired.
Well, that's what I thought you had said, because you hear I'm reading a whole maybe I watched a different game, but the game I saw and I'm watching, I'm trying to find it on Google right now. Bill O'Brien did get the win, knocked right up out him. That's why he had to get up out of there, man. Houston is far too good of a team. There's far too good of a team for this guy to come and just kind of flip everything upside down on his head. And it was, bottom line, it was an ego issue. It was an ego issue with Hal Hopkins. It was an ego issue with Johnson. And they've stripped everything from Watson, and they expect him to go out there and just kind of be Superman because they gave him a new contract. It doesn't work like that. If I don't know, maybe if they played their home games at Hogwarts, it might work that way. But this is not. I mean, he's not a wizard and he's not a magician. He's got to have real people to throw to, a real line to block for, a real running back to hand the ball off to, and he's got to have a real scheme to run. He doesn't have any of those things. So just because you pay somebody just because I pay $1 million for a Camry, don't make it a Lamborghini, right? So you got to understand, you paid that guy all of that money, but he has no supporting cast, no supporting pieces. I don't care how prolific Denzel is as an actor. Without Ethan Hawke, there would be no Training Day. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to look at, I'm just being honest. So you got to look at what they're doing there. They're relying strictly on a $100 million guy because he's a $100 million guy, and they feel as though he should be able to uplift the team, with not his arms, with his legs. And it just simply doesn't work like that. Not in that division anyway, not in today's NFL. And again, you're putting a lot of excess strain on someone, especially given the climate of this season. I keep preaching the same thing: no practice, no OTAs, no scrimmages, no training, no nothing. So these guys have got to play their way into shape, and they got to play their way into rhythm. That's going to take a couple games, and they got to work the kinks out. You might see a team play lights out on offense one week and suck on defense, and then vice versa. And then you'll have a game where they play kind of average on both sides of the ball, and then they'll finally get in tune and get in rhythm. That's called the preseason. We didn't have that this year, right? So this is the end result of it. I don't know why people are panicking. Same thing in Dallas. They're panicking in Dallas because they got a couple losses. First off, the Cowboys have got to stop with expectations. If they get rid of the expectations in Dallas, I think that team will fare out a lot better because the fans have expectations. Those expectations translate on to the owners and management due to ticket sales. That translates on to the players to get it done because they want these extravagant contracts with these fringe benefits of being a Dallas Cowboy. They want all the glamour and glory, but they're not winning, all right? So the expectations have to drop. The expectations drop, then it's cool. It's like this here, man. If I'm on a blind date, right, and you've been sending me pictures of some hot chick, and then I show up to the movie, and there's a gargoyle standing at the ticket counter, I'm out of there. So I expected an angelic being, and I got a gargoyle. But if you'd have sent me the picture of the gargoyle up front, I might have been all right with it. You just never know. But you got to be upfront with people, and you got to drop those expectations. Got to do that. Outside of that, I think McCarthy is actually being faulted for Coach Clapp. I really think that they're kind of throwing on him the inconsistency that Dallas has had over the last 8 to 10 years under the old regime. They've only given him 4 games. And I mean, I understand that you built the team and you built it to win now, but I mean, it simply doesn't work that way. You got to understand the gravity and climate of the entire situation, and then you can make an assessment on what you need to do as far as hiring and firing and moving around and, and blaming and placing, all of those things. Garrett therefore so long, stinking up the field, Rah Garrett, you could do better, but he didn't really have a scheme. And whatever scheme he did have in place, or whatever he wanted to run, that was smothered by Jerry Jones and his son. So he didn't really have the reins, although they did like him, and they've liked him for quite some time since he was the quarterback in Dallas during the lockout. So they got rid of him, and then they bring in McCarthy, but they want McCarthy to kind of pick up the pieces that were left on the ground. So, but you can't just do that. I mean, it's not an instant thing. It's not an instantaneous thing. It's going to take some time, especially dealing in Dallas with those egos, with those expectations, with those contracts in that city during COVID. No OTAs, no practices, no anything, no regimens, nothing. And you big quarterback controversy, franchise tag, a year off of your running back hanging in Cabo for the first month of the season. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff going on over the last 12, 13 months in Dallas, and it's not going to be correctable in 6 months. Let me tell you something. It might take you 2 years to eat your way to 400 pounds, but it's going to take you 8 years to get back down to 150. That's just how it works. Whatever, it takes 3 times the amount of time and effort to unscramble something than to mess it up, if that makes sense. And that's just where they are, and a couple other teams, Philadelphia, the Dolphins, they got a lot of teams that are in that dumpster fire category. Dallas is just always shielded from the dumpster fire due to expectations, due to the fact they're the most valuable team in all of sports, due to the fact they had a winning tradition. All of those things count. So when you look at it as a whole, Dallas has got to drop those expectations, and they got to give the coaches both time and the reins to freely control the team as they see fit, along with a lot of other teams. And a lot of the owners have to step in. I personally think they got to step in Miami, and I know which Fitzmagic is my guy, has been my guy, but I know he's not your guy, and I'm dying to see what Tua can bring. You already at the dumpster. You're already in the bottom of the barrel. Just put the guy in and see what happens. But that's going to be up to ownership. You know, so I mean, they got a lot of things they need to rectify themselves in the NFL, and we won't start seeing really good football, in my opinion, for another 2 to 3 weeks until we get all the quirks worked out.
Yeah, that's true, man. And I can't really dispute a lot of that. And it's actually true. I mean, this is preseason to a lot of teams, man, and it certainly looks like it. All right, let's keep going, man. As and then to add an extra point on that is the fact that, you know, there's a report on ESPN that showed that the scoring is almost record breaking, and that's because of the defenses is finally they having difficulties catching up. That should normalize in the second month of the season. Next, on to the next trio of games. The Colts 19-11 over the Chicago team as they get their first loss of the season. The Colts continue to climb. Phillip Rivers 16-29, 190, 1 touchdown on the day. Jonathan Taylor is kind of leading out as the top back there. 17 carries, 68 yards. He averaged about 4 yards a rush. Zach Pasquale, 3 catches, 58 yards off of 8 targets. T.Y. Hilton, 3 catches, 29 off of 5. He has to get going. He's been struggling early on, but the Colts 3-1 under Phillip Rivers, man. Nick Foles gets his first loss. He was 26 of 42, 249, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but they most certainly wasn't balanced. David Montgomery, 10 carries for 27 yards. That won't get it done. Allen Robinson, 7 catches off of 10 targets, 101 yards, plus 1 touchdown in the matchup. And Darnell Mooney, the young wide receivers, continue to step up. 5 catches off of 9 targets, 52 yards, averaging 10.4 on the catch. Jimmy Graham, 4 catches for 33 yards, not much there. The Colts take the Bears down 19-11. Bills in Las Vegas. The Vegas team 3-2. They lose another one, man. As you can see, the Buffalo Bills are 4-0, 30-23. It was a nice game, but Josh Allen continues to show up. 24 of 34, 288, 2 touchdowns in the matchup. Devin Singletary, 8 carries for 55 yards, 1 score there. Stephon Diggs, 6 catches, 115 off of 7 targets. John Brown, 4 catches, 42 yards.
Who did that?
332 for 1 score.
No. Who did that? Go back 2 people.
30 to 23.
Go back 2
Bills
people.
over the Vegas.
All right then.
Stephon Diggs, Mozzie. 6 catches, 115. Touchdowns. No touchdowns. All right, let's move on to the next one. Philly, 25-20 over the 49ers, or the 40 Whiners, as I like to call them. Nick Mullins, 18 of 25, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He was sacked 4 times. They had to put C.J. Beathard in there. He went 14 of 19 for 138. Didn't really help him because he didn't throw in the touchdown. No, great value. Jared McKinnon, 14 carries, 54 yards, 1 touchdown. Kittle's got going. 15 catches off of 15 targets, 183, 1 touchdown. That guy's on my fantasy league, by the way. 25-20. Eagles, first win of the season. They were literally people ready to jump off the bridge in Philadelphia. Thank the good Dale that Philly finally got it. Miles, we think about those scores before we then head on the top Monday night matchups.
Well, first off, let's talk about my score and the fact that I'm probably second place in the league right now, only due to somebody getting pulled. Yeah, only due to somebody getting pulled. So let's talk. We're bringing up scores. Let's bring up the fact that I run the sports home. No, I definitely won. But let's bring up. I beat my own son. As a matter of fact, he tried to talk me or bribe me into letting him. You man, let me win because we're not doing any of that. You shouldn't have picked up. You shouldn't have went to the draft. So listen. Let's talk about the fact that I own the Sports Coma League. Now, what were we saying back? Okay, so
you own the Sports Coma League?
I own it. Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
own it. OWN, like Oprah Winfrey Network. That's me. Own. Right. Oprah Harpo. That's me. Yeah. All young Harpo.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, right. So I got right. So if y'all don't know it, I'm the Super Saiyans. Yeah, y'all can catch me in the Sports Coma League. I dominate that league. So just be on the lookout, y'all. It is what it is. Back to you. So we got a couple different scenarios right there. I think that it's going to be a really good fit with Phillip Rivers going forward because the expectations is just not there. In San Diego, from the moment Phillip Rivers got there, there were expectations. From the moment Phillip Rivers got there, it was controversy. From the moment Phillip Rivers got there, he had the fight, wait behind Drew, and fight. He snuck in behind Drew. He was traded by one team, traded away, drafted by one team, traded to another team. Not really embraced by the fans because they wanted one guy, and they wound up getting another guy. And he did happen to go, to a few places. He went kind of far. However, he never made it to the big dance, and that's kind of what they had expectations with their team. When you look at LaDainian Tomlinson, and you look at Arsenio Gates, and you look at Phillip Rivers, and you look at everything that they had over there, they should have won a long time ago. But I think now that the expectations are gone, Indy is not looking to really do anything or make any moves. He can kind of pick his spots, and I think for the first time since he's been in the NFL, he's finally found a home where nobody's going to judge him or quick to bench him or have any expectations into any football player, especially an aging quarterback who I'm sure has started to doubt himself at some point over the last 4, 5, 6 years. I think that's a really good look, and that's good to hear. It's good to hear those type of stories, and hats off to him because I think he's now having fun with football, and that's something he hadn't had probably since he came into the NFL.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to check on the fantasy league. I'm gonna have to check on it and see. Many people will probably disagree with you that you're running the Sports Coma Fantasy League, but we'll move on to the next story there. All right. Let me see who we got lined up here. Okay, here we go. The Kansas City Chiefs. There we go. KC, defending Super Bowl champions. Not much resistance there from New England Patriots, 26-10 in the matchup. Patrick Mahomes boys, 19 of 29. He had 2 touchdowns in the affair. They ruffled his feathers. One time, got to him and sacked him. One time, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 16 carries for 64 yards, 4 yards per carry, trying to keep that offense balanced. Kels had 3 catches off of 6 targets for 70 yards. Tyreek Hill, 4 catches, 64 yards in the score off of 6 targets. Sammy Watkins, 4 catches off of 7 targets, 43 yards. And these guys are doing a pretty good job. Nicole Hartman, he had 4 catches for 27 yards in the score as well. And I like how KC's offense flows. And like I said, when they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he would be the perfect back for that guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield. He had 3 catches for 27 yards. Kansas City undefeated. They beat New England, Cam Newton-less New England Patriots squad with a laughable performance there by Brian Hoyer, and then Jared Stidham came in and stunk even worse than he did, 5 of 13 for 60 yards and 2 interceptions. So, man, listen, they stunk, and they lose 26-10 to the undefeated Super Bowl defending champion Chiefs. And, of course, one of my favorite game of week number 4 was the matchup between the Packers and the Falcons, in which the Packers are 4-0 as they dispatch Atlanta 30-16 in the matchup. Aaron Rodgers, 27 of 33 for 327, 4 touchdowns in the game. His rating QBR was 96.9. Phenomenal. Aaron Jones, 15 carries, 71 yards. Man averaged almost 5 yards a carry. And their top guy was Robert Tonyan, who was that no-name ass tight end, 6 catches for 98 yards. That guy had 3 touchdowns against them. 3 touchdowns. So they beating you with their unknown players. Valdez Scantling, 4 catches, 45 yards. Jamal Williams had 8 catches for 95 yards off of 8 targets. So, and then Tonyan, truth told, he had 6 catches off of 6 targets, 98 yards, 3 touchdowns. Hey, Matt Ryan in the game, 26 of 39, 285, no touchdowns, no interceptions, no win. Passing, what about the rushing attack? Ty Gurley, his name is his game. 16 carries for 57 yards. He did have 2 rushing touchdowns in the matchup. And of course, I can't pronounce that man's name, Zahuchis or whatever it is, 8 catches, 86 yards off of 9 targets. Hayden Hurst, 4 catches, 51 yards off of 6 targets. Didn't do him no good. 30-16, not enough offense, not enough defense, not enough anything. Atlanta is 0-4 on the year. Uncle Mozzie, talk on these 2 Monday night games, Kansas City, Atlanta. Either one you're talking, that will go into the news about who's next to get fired. We know about the Houston coach / general manager. He got threw up out of here. We'll talk about who's next to meet that X. What do you think about these Monday night games? All right. Are you still with us there, Uncle Mozzie? All right. I don't know. We might have lost him. All right, let's keep going here. We're going to move on. We'll chime in once we get him back up. All right, let's move on to the next one, family. We're going to talk about the next group of people to get fired, to get axed. Of course, we know about O'Brien down in Houston. Romeo Cornell will replace him. But who's next up to get the axe? Who's the next teams to get fired? The next head coach to get fired? I'm going to have to put, in my top 3 up there. You got to look at Adam Gase of the Jets. He stinks. He sucks. He's garbage. And really, according to various reports, he should have been fired last week, but for whatever reason, that guy, I don't know what he has or what he's doing, but how do you survive as an 0-4 coach in the media capital of the world? It's beyond me. You got an 0-4 team. They should be literally crucifying him right now with the Jets. And the Giants are 0-4. Maybe the Giants are taking up a lot of the press, so they're not focusing on the Jets. But that is unbelievable. This guy stinks. He should have got fired from that. But that's my call on the Gase should be the next up. He needs to definitely win. They're facing the Cardinals. That is not going to be a win for the Jets. Of course, Sam Darnold dealing with an injury. He was doing the best he could do in last week's matchup. But nonetheless, Gase is another dude that should be looking at getting fired. And of course, you look at Atlanta. Atlanta has Dan Quinn. Of course, we don't want Dan Quinn to go nowhere. He's a nice guy. He deserves a job. He's doing a phenomenal job for the Atlanta Falcons right now. They belong where they belong. They're 0-4, and they have the Panthers up next, which will be an interesting matchup. But listen, I say if any one of these teams, if Atlanta does not beat the Panthers and the Jets don't beat the Cardinals, which they won't, these guys should be the next couple of guys to get fired. But that's a no-brainer in terms of who we looking at. All right, Mazza, we got you back, man. Chime in on the Monday night games. And then, of course, the question is about who's the next to get fired after you do that.
Hold on. Before we start this, bro, look, I just want to apologize. I don't know who has the power or who you gave the button to, but every time I talk about Stephon Diggs, the Miami Heat, or winning the fantasy, my computer crashed and I get kicked off. I don't know who's doing. I don't know if you.
What kind of computer do you have?
What kind of? I have a laptop.
What's the name? What brand is the laptop?
What brand is the laptop?
Yes.
I'm not doing it with you. Listen, I don't know if it's you, GMK. I don't know who it is. Somebody got that electromagnetic pulse button, and every time I open my mouth and it's something y'all don't like, y'all silence me. I'm starting to think y'all work for the government. I'm gonna have to find out what's going on, because every time I talk about something y'all don't like, I get silence and my computer crash.
Well,
and it takes 20 minutes to come back on.
Uncle
And
Mozzie,
then you get all your narrative
Uncle Mozzie,
and talk about the Brown, and you pump all of this stuff up. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, just to acquiesce on the point about just to get to you on the point about you being running the Sports Cone Fantasy League. I just wanted to let you know, in the Eastern Division, you're second place underneath Big Easy Player. So you're not actually running the league, and you're not even running your own division. Just to let you know. Okay, keep going.
All right, bro. So check this out, man. I'll try not to say anything that's gonna upset the fan base, because I don't want to get. What would y'all like me to say? I'll just say that'd be cool. Well, look, check this out. Going to the Monday night games, I believe that's where we are right now, right?
Yes. That's correct.
So, looking at the Monday night game, I don't even want to. The first game I don't even want to talk about. Second game, because again, I think that the Jets coach ought to be fired. I think the Atlanta over at Dan Quinn, I think he needs to be fired. I think you spot on with that. They got a couple of coaches need to all just round them up and just dump them in the middle of those. But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about Kansas City game. I couldn't believe it. I mean, the high flying Kansas City offense, and if anybody was paying attention and got the game tape on that, they might have something. If anybody has a piece of defense or a really good defensive coordinator to kind of break down and dissect what was going on, because it was masterful. And what they did was they just eliminated Mahomes down the field. They packed the field, and the zone, the coverage that they were playing, they played some man, some zone, but it all came out of the same look. So he was kind of confused as to what he wanted to do and where he wanted to go with the ball. It wasn't until around maybe the third quarter when he realized that he couldn't dink it or dunk it, because they had most of the underneath stuff covered, most of the slants covered, all the deep stuff covered with the combination of zone and man that they were running. He decided to just punish him and take off with his feet. If y'all gonna all go out and play man, and the rest of y'all the linebacker gonna drop back in zone to try to stop anything underneath, I'm gonna take these 10, 12, 15 yards every single time. So I think that the first adjustment was made to kind of keep Mahomes in pocket. Other than that, man, if anybody saw that game last night, that was not I understand what the final score was, but had Cam Newton been in that game, that would have been an entirely different game. That would have been a completely different game. Anytime you allowed Hoyer to basically hold points at quarters, and you finally figure something out, you start putting things together, definitely should have been made, and that I'm completely ashamed at Belichick. But that's what happens when you base your team on great value players. Even if your scheme is phenomenal, you simply don't have the personnel to execute the scheme. And that's what I preach on this show about non-value players. Had they had some legit players, had they had a Fowler, had they had a Matthew, had they had these players, things probably would have been a little bit different. Had they had Cam Newton not contracted COVID, things would have probably been a little bit different. Unfortunately, that's not the way the ball bounced, and they got bounced up out of here by my homeboy. But anybody seeing that should have definitely been taking notes, and the blueprint was laid out. Mixed the coverage up between zone and man, even on some players, give them the same look, guard everything underneath, but you got to make sure you got a spy or two to stop him or negate his legs. You do that, you win. Simple as that. They showed you that last night.
Yeah, that's accurate. Because I was watching portions of that game where I seen Mahomes did look confused. And you're absolutely right. Had the Patriots had Cam Newton there, it would have more than likely, they might even had an opportunity. I'll say this. If Cam was there and in the capacity that he was over the last couple of weeks and how he played and how he was a threat with the run and he was passing the ball, they would have most certainly ended up beating him, because the defense did confuse him a bit. Belichick did confuse him, but his quarterbacks didn't help. Hoyer was a joke. Stidman turned the ball over several times. So you're absolutely right. With Cam, they probably would have won this game. So once again, that it works in Kansas City favor. All right, let's move on now. Let's get to the topic when we're talking about the coaches. Who's next to get fired? We know about O'Brien in Houston getting the axe. Give me 2 or 3, your top 3. And I gave the family members mine. What are your next 3 guys to get the axe?
Well, wait a minute, time out. I can't give the same people you gave, so and
sure
y'all
you
hit
can.
the button on me, so I don't really know who
Sure you can.
I can't give you the same people. I want to give a different. Okay, well, we both gonna say Dan Quinn. for sure. Dan Quinn I think Dan Quinn, no matter given the Super Bowl loss and the two come from behind victories, by de facto he should be fired. Gase should definitely be fired. As a matter of fact, if I was the Jets, I'd bring back the most successful coach I've had in the last 15 years, which was Rex Ryan.
Absolutely not.
Rob Ryan, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, shit, why not? I mean, you got rid of him, and then you got a bunch of bums. Now your entire franchise is a big dumpster fire, and I just don't see another way they turn this around. So Adam Gase, yes, is a big thumbs up from me. Dan Quinn, yes, big thumbs up from me. And if I had to, let me see, if I had to pick another coach that had to get the axe this year, I don't know, man. It's kind of tough because you got to give them the benefit of the doubt for at least 1 year. At least under the regime that they got. And they got a lot of coaches that they're first time coaches. So I mean, you can't really like hang them out to dry. That's why I definitely say those two would definitely be maybe Cincinnati, maybe. Well, because I mean they're actually gonna get Joe Burrow killed before the end of the season. Joe Burrow's gonna wind up getting hurt if they don't either get some protection for him or switch up the protection for him, because he's taking way too many shots and he's their franchise quarterback in the future. And if you're not gonna protect him, I think you need to get somebody out there that can or will protect him. They should have been bobbing for apples. They should have been getting tackles and guards. They should have been offensive line should have been key and paramount, especially with a top 10 running back in the NFL and Mixon, and your pride and joy, my pride and Joey B coming to the league. I just don't think they did enough to fortify that team, knowing that they had a top 10 running back, knowing that they had a generational talent coming in at quarterback, and for that reason alone, somebody should have the answers for it. And generally speaking, it's the coaches that answer first, then come the GM. Or in the case of Houston, they just kill two birds with one stone. But yeah, that'd be my top three. I definitely, because Cincinnati can be a force to be reckoned with. They should have known that before the season started, that they had something. Why don't you move on there and make sure you shore up your offensive line to protect your quarterback from taking 50 hits in like 4 games? I don't know, but that's what they did.
Yeah, my list on it, I gave the 3, which is Adam Gase from the Jets, Dan Quinn, and they put on a TSC Unleashed hot list, man. Those guys are definitely at the top because, and I'll even say with losses over the next couple of games, and like I said, the Jets have the Cardinals next, and then of course you have Dan Quinn have the Carolina Panthers. I would say that Quinn gets enough to be able to beat the Carolina Panthers. Then I would say that Gase, with an injured quarterback, can beat the Arizona Cardinals, who's coming off a loss to Carolina, in which they should have won this game. So I expect them to get back on charts. So I would say definitely Adam Gase because he's at the top of the list, and then it's Dan Quinn, and then there are other coaches that you can miss. But I could say if they don't win next week, they can get fired. I mean, it's just they need a win to stay alive as a coach. Now, underneath those guys, there are several other interesting names that make notice of that just got there. You have the shitty coach that's come from, he was what, the wide receivers or tight ends coach, and he was a quarterbacks coach or whatever he was for the New England Patriots. Joe Judge, who took over the New York Giants job. He's 0-4 right now. He stinks. He sucks. He's terrible. And of course, he don't have a lot to work with. You lost Saquon Barkley, so that's interesting. But he's on that. I ain't gonna say he's on that list because he just got there. But there are other guys, perhaps Fangio down in Denver. His team is 1-3 despite all the injuries. They're not doing anything. I would put Matt Patricia of the Detroit Lions on that list. If he don't win in the next couple of weeks, he can get fired. He was on the hot seat coming into the year, and that he needed to have a good year. So Matt Patricia, another New England former coach, is not being successful in the league. He's the most certainly on that hot list as well. So there's several interesting coaches that's on the hot list. Like I said, Matt Patricia for dealing with the Detroit club. And Joe Judge, I don't think he gets fired. They're going to give him a little time to kind of put stuff together. The Miami's coach is another guy at 1-3. He acting like he got this. Like, well, I don't care if I win or not, man. Then people will fire you. Look what they did to the Arizona coach after 1 year. So if you that fool better stop being stupid and put Tua in there. I don't know who told him, hey, you can.
I don't know why. I don't know why coaches think that the owners and management are their friends. I do not know why that is.
Right. What is he thinking? I'm like, dude, you have one win. You lose another matchup, you'll be 1-4. they'll be calling for your scalp and by week 5, and you sitting up here pretending like you have time. You don't have any time. They tanked it last year to get Tua. Nothing. They tanked last year, Mozzie, to get Tua, and you're gonna tank this year again. What sense does it make? You're a stupid coach if you do that.
None.
Put Tua in there while you got an opportunity. We'll see what he does. I'm gonna be watching that guy, Brian Flores. He's supposed to be so smart. But boys, this is a stupid move. If you talking about you gonna stick with Fitzpatrick over Tua in week 5, you're a moron, bro. I mean, come on now. But anyway, let's move on to the NBA, man. This will be the final story of the afternoon. The Lakers and the Heat. Game number 4. Lakers are up 2-1. Heat, ferocious game by Jimmy Butler over the weekend. He did what he had to do, led them. They without Bama, Bio, Goran Dragic. But listen, I'm going to keep it real. Onkamazi was sweating profusely. If they'd have lost this game, he would have had to come back on this show and get the full wrath of the TSC Unleashed family. GM Kev and all the family members would have been at him for his prediction. So he was really sweating Sunday that the Heat had to come up with the win. But Jimmy Butler had 40 points. He had a triple-double in that game. He had to have a triple-double. He had to have a big game. And he did. He had 40 points in the matchup. In 45 minutes, he scored 40 points. He had 13 assists. He had 11 rebounds. He was 14 of 20 from the field. He was 12 of 14 from the free throw line. He didn't attempt the three-pointer shot because he knew he wasn't going to hit it. He didn't need to. Triple-double day by Jimmy Butler. He had to step up. 2 17-point outings by Tyler Hero, who was in the starting lineup. 17 from Kelly Olynyk in 31 minutes. 12 points from Jay Crowder. 13 from Duncan in the matchup. And thanks to Jimmy Butler, man, he was the main reason. Anthony Davis stunk on this one. Anthony Davis, if he would have brung his regular game, the Lakers would be up 3-0. 15 points in 33 minutes. He was 6 of 9 from the field. He and reason why Davis was non-effectual because he was dealing with foul issues. He had 4 personal fouls, and you could tell it affected his game. 15 points, 5 rebounds in the matchup. If you're not scoring, you got to be rebounded. AD, he had no blocks in the game. You know that's not right. LeBron, he did what he did. 25 points in 39 minutes, 10 rebounds, 8 assists in the matchup, and of course, guys like Dwight Howard didn't do very much. Danny Green is awful. He stinks. He's trash. He's garbage. 17 minutes. The guy was 0 of 6 from the field. The guy was 0 of 4 from downtown. The only thing he hit were free throws, 2 for 2, and that accounts for the 2 points that he had in 17 minutes of play. Awful game by Danny Green. KCP, 29 minutes. He stunk. 1 of 5. 1 of 3 from downtown. 2 of 4. He couldn't even hit all his free throws. He was totally out of it. 5 stinking points from him. Morris off the bench had 19. Kuzma off the bench had 19. Not enough. They go down to the Heat 115 to 104 on, and that sets the parameters for tonight's matchup between the two. Now, Onkamazi, you had a poor performance by Anthony Davis. Don't expect Anthony Davis to score 15 points and 5 rebounds in game number 4. He's going to play with a chip on his shoulder as well. Do Jimmy buckets? Does he have another triple-double? Because he basically carried the Heat. He was the reason why the Heat won that matchup against the Lakers in Game 3. You couple that with Anthony Davis' poor performance and poor performances for several other starters for the Lakers. Does that continue in Game 4? Do the Heat even off the series? Seriously, do they even up the series tonight?
Wait a minute. Can you help me out right quick? Can I ask you a question?
You gonna answer my question with a question?
What's Jimmy Butler's number? What's his jersey number?
What's his number?
Hello?
Jimmy Butler's?
Hello?
I'm listening.
I can't hear you.
I'm listening.
Jimmy Butler. What's Jimmy Butler's jersey number?
I don't remember.
No. What's Jimmy Butler's jersey number? I don't either. That's why I'm at you. You the stat guy.
You
so
know what
his
jersey number is. I'm not gonna answer that.
Oh yeah, I damn sure know what it's.
It's 22.
It's 22. 2-2. Yeah, they're gonna tie it up tonight. Right. Yeah, they're gonna tie it up tonight. I told you what it was over the weekend. I told you. They win 2, we win 2, and then it comes down to those last 3 games. I hate to say I told y'all so, but I told y'all so. I told y'all that I thought that Butler was good for a game. I told you that Spoelstra was good for a game. I told you that if the Lakers blew their nose wrong, that it'd be over with and the Heat would series from them. Listen, y'all, the tale of the Lakers are that of role players and bench players. That's where y'all have excelled at, especially in the playoffs and in the bubble. AD and LeBron combined, and I told you this last week when they did. I say, man, they combined 55, 60. That's not the issue. It's when your bench players come out and put up 40. It's when your role players come out and put up another 40. That's where things get kind of skewed because we can't match that. But if the role players have an off night and the bench players play like real bench players and not starters, Miami could easily beat this team. I told y'all that last week. Y'all don't listen to Uncle Mozzie. Uncle Swami told y'all what it was, and I'm telling you tonight, Miami wins this game. I'm giving up 8 points to whoever want to take it. Miami wins this game and ties this series up 2-2, and we'll see y'all on Thursday.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Or Friday.
I wouldn't be surprised with a Heat win. I think the first two games are ratings disaster, and I would even reckon that the NBA would referee-wise would want to help out Miami to kind of keep the series. We know they do that from time to time. They extend the series 7 to get maximum money. That's just how the game go in some sports. So, but anyway, I wouldn't be upset about that prediction on Kamadi. I think Jimmy Butler and then Bam Adebayo returns. There's a report saying that Bam Adebayo is throwing out there that he's going to play in Game 4. So that adds another caveat. It's in my opinion. LeBron's going to bring his game. It's up to Anthony Davis to help him out because LeBron scored 25, almost got a triple-double. Anthony Davis, 15 points and 3 or 4 or 5 rebounds, some nonsense like that. He has to be able to score where he usually scores up the north of the 25, 26 parameter for them to have a chance. Jimmy Butler was on another level. He had a triple-double. He carried the team. I don't know if he can do that type of performance again tonight. But we'll see, man. That's what makes it interesting. Can the Lakers push it out, or could the Jimmy Butler in the Heat, even the series? We'll see. Uncle Mozzie says yes. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers got the win. It's all predicated on Anthony Davis doing what he needs to do. So we'll see. But that'll do it for the show. I'd like to thank all of the family members for joining us on this installment of TSC Unleashed. That's right. Our Tuesday edition is coming to a close. I'd like to thank all the family members in the chat. Thank y'all for joining us, everybody. So please hit the like button. Please feel free to share the show links. And of course, programming note for tonight is that we will return with more Saints talk on TSC Q&A live on Patreon. So if you're not a member, go to www.patreon.com/The Pro Media Network and sign up. Sign up and help the platform out, family. We have packages there. You can sign up for something that's cheap as $1 to help support the platform, man. You know, I mean, come on. What's $1? $1 a month. But anyway, and it helps out the platform. It goes toward a good cause, helps us to keep building and doing a lot of great stuff that we're doing at the Pro Media Network. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us here, and we'll see you on the TSC Q&A later on. Matter of fact, in a little over 30 minutes. So thank y'all. Peace from me and Uncle Mozzie. We out. I'll holler at you later.